Did you know you don't need to leave the terminal to read the contents of a file? That's right. No GUI tools or text editors are required. Bash has several commands that you can use to read the contents of a file and display it in the terminal window itself. And the first of those commands is the cat command, which stands for concatenation. Now, if you want to follow along with this tutorial, everything is in the view files, which is in the GitHub repository that will be linked in the description of this video. So if I type ls just to get a sense of what's in this directory, I have 4 different files, 2 of which contain some quotes from my favorite books. And if I want to get the contents of those quote files, those txt files, I can use the cat command followed by the name of the file. So I have it in quotes01.txt are some quotes from one of my favorite programming books called The Pragmatic Programmer. So these are 3 quotes from that book that really stuck out to me that I enjoy and like to see often just as a reminder. So that's how I can concatenate or pull information from one particular file. Now, because concatenation means to combine as well, I could actually concatenate multiple files at once. And so if I wanted to see both the quotes from the quotes 01 and quotes 02, I can do that by just adding in another file here. So if I type quotes 02, I'm now going to have returned to me all of the quotes from quotes 1 and quotes 2. So quotes 1 has the pragmatic programmer quotes and quotes 2 has the clean code quotes. So that's how you use the concatenate function. Now to do something a little bit more practical, which would be to get information from a log file, we'll use the head and tail command. So before we use the head command, let's take a look at the log files that are in this directory. So I have 2 log files, fake001 and fake002.log. And if I use the cat command on that, we'll see how long they are. So if I cat fake001.log, and these are fake generated logs, you can see that there are a lot of lines. I can scroll through this, and I think there are probably about 100 lines in here. And so this is where the head command comes in very handy, where you only want to take maybe the first couple lines from that particular thing. Maybe you wanted to see like the oldest logs from this particular record versus the latest. And so you can use the head command for that. And by default, it will return 10 lines. So if we do head and then we type in the name of the file that we want to parse, which would be fake001.log, I'm going to get the first 10 lines of that. Now you can change this behavior by adding the n option. So n stands for the number of lines, and say I wanted to just get the first 3, I could do that as well. Now, oftentimes we're either looking at the beginning or the end of a log file because we want to know what happened when the error started or what's currently going on because there's an issue. We want to get the most recent logs. So if you want to get towards the end of the file, you would use the tail command. So tail, and then we can use this on the fake log file 01 again. And now we'll get the last 10. And again, that same optional argument for n exists for the tail command. So if we wanted to get 3 returned back to us, we could do that as well with the tail command. Now there is one more way that we could parse these files, and that is with the more and less command. So just to recap, the head and tail commands let you define how much information you want to pull from either the beginning or the end of the file. But what if you just kind of want to browse through the file like you're looking through it in a text editor? Well, the more and less commands let you do that. So if we type more and then we feed in the fake02 file, which has another several hundred lines in it, what we'll see is we're given this information page by page. So it's going to pull up as much information as it can fit in a single page. And then if we hit the space bar, we'll be able to go page by page through this entire log file until we get to the end. And then the same thing is true for the less command. So to use the less command, you just type less and then the name of the file. So in this case, we'll take a look at the fake02 log file again. Now you'll notice that this doesn't give us a % all the way through, but instead what we can do is navigate this exactly like a man page. So less and more are very similar, just the less has a lot more options in its navigation. I can search in here. So if I wanted to search for an IP address of starting with 102, I can do that and I can navigate this using the different commands that are available or keyboard shortcuts in here to navigate this. I can also just navigate one page at a time with the space bar. I can also go up and down with J and K to navigate. and kind of go through this however I want using the different navigational commands. And if you don't know those, you can hit H on this, and this is the same navigation for the manual files that we have looked at previously. So that's what less allows you to do. But there's one other option, because sometimes you want to see the beginning, sometimes you want to see the end. That was with the head and tail commands. And then less and more let you kind of parse through at your own pace through the file. But sometimes you're looking for a specific piece of information inside the file, and that's where the grep command comes into play. To learn how to use the grep command, let's take a quick look at the help. So there are a lot of different options with this command because it is capable of doing a lot of things. But if we look at the very top, we can see that you need to enter the grep command, which is grep, followed by a pattern, and then the file that you want to grep from or you want to pull information from. And then it gives some examples of this here. So if we clear the screen, let's assume now that we want to pull information from the log file with a specific IP. So we know that there's this problem web server per se, and in the log file, we're looking for that exact IP. And so we don't want to have to parse from the beginning or end or all the way through with those different commands. We can use the grep command followed by the pattern. So let's say the IP address is 174.212.233. And then we're going to look in the fake log 02 file. And we can see that there's exactly one line returned in here. And so we got specifically just the line that we wanted to with grep. Now this is also a web log. And so if we wanted to pull back more information, say we wanted to get every line that had delete used, or every line on the log that the delete method was used, we could update that pattern to delete. And now we would see all the lines inside that log file that have delete. Now you'll notice in the output that there is red text, and that red text is the pattern match. And by default, the grep command will return just the line that the match was on. If you want to get fancy with this, you can do all sorts of regular expressions and different pattern matching and wildcards to further refine your search results.